Hi, aloha. Welcome to Rose Yoga. I'm Veruschka Normandeau, and today I'm excited to announce a Love Stories of Aloha. I think it's Stories of Aloha with my Kumu from the Big Island, Paul Neves. Welcome, Kumu.
Aloha. Aloha. This is page 2. This is our second recording. So, Omakokau.
Hi.
Hi. So, are you ready? Yes. So, I wanted to start by again welcoming you to to our presentation. And I want to just kind of, it's not a disclaimer, kind of want to say there's a lot of people out there that there's a great renaissance of Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian understandings, Hawaiian philosophies. And it's been going on for about 40, perhaps 50 years now. And if you've heard something said something different, don't worry about it. We Hawaiians are very, very territorial. Hilo eats different poi than kona. We do things differently island to island. The islands make us special. You're on the eastern side of the islands, it rains. You're on the western side of the islands, it's dry. Some islands have sand, some islands do not. So if you're saying, well, I heard so-and-so said this, great. Now you've got two versions. Just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Try to keep an open mind. What I'm going to say are my reflections. In 2 weeks, I will be 69 years old, 69 times around the sun. That does not make me wiser, makes me a little browner. But it doesn't make me wiser. But it just means that we all have different, perhaps different views or different ways of seeing things. This is mine. We ended the last session, V. We ended it with the chant Eho Mai. And Eho Mai is like beckon, to come. And Eho Mai, Kaike Mai, Luna Mai E, basically is saying that knowledge that seems to come from above, come. Ona mea huna noeau, that great knowledge, huna noeau, that well-founded knowledge. Ona melie, let it come like a song. Very important. Come like a song, not come like a big sledgehammer, like a judge slamming it, and this is the law. No, come like a song. And what a way to beckon great knowledge, for it to come. Ona melee. Eho mai, beckon, eho mai. Eho mai, eho mai ka ike. Ike is to know, but it also means to see. So Ike means to know and to see. So I know what I see what I know. Yeah. So it's like if you're blind, you still can know. If you didn't know, you could still see. Either way, the door opens, the window opens to knowledge, right? So Huna is a very, very, I know Southern Californians, they get in a surfboard and they talk about the big kahuna. It's really terrible because a huna is hidden. It's something that is hidden. So a priest is a kahuna. He is a person that reveals truth. He's not a person that has it, but he's reveals it. So huna to us is very important. It's not like the knowledge is not there. It's time to be revealed. Knowledge is for the moment. Hawaiians saw knowledge in a different sense. Whereas, say, the West, you have these big, huge libraries where all the knowledge is stored. Hawaiian used the knowledge that came intuitively, came from your na'au, from your stomach, because we were actually like many native people in the world. We had to use our intuition to decide. We could not make mistakes. If we said, tomorrow the seas will be calm, we better know that, because that might cost somebody their life or their living. We couldn't say, well, I think. No, I know. I know through either meditation, prayer, or the looking or the seeing of the moon. What is the moon phase? Or by just the feel, like right now in Hilo, behind me right now in Hilo. It's one of those, we're waiting for rain to break the humidity. Yeah. So a kahuna would say, or a person that is skilled would say, intuitively, tonight it will rain. Or we pray that it rain to break the humidity, to let the streams be filled and all of that, to wash away this climate and to open the climate. Now, in weather like this, it's good for deep sea fishing. So we have to be very careful in what we wish for. That's the person's living. You want to eat fish tomorrow or don't you? Right? Fresh fish from the deep sea. Because the cloud cover, the fish come up. When the clouds clear and it's those nice, beautiful sunsets in Kona, fishing's no good. Look at the sunset. Because the fish see the sun, they go to the bottom of the sea. The fish don't see the sun, they tend to wander up and come up to the top where they feel safe. That's when you fish, right? So you don't want to make the intuitive mistake. We cannot make mistake. We must be. So anyway, just I wanted to say that because we ended the chant last week, and I want hopefully as we go page to page to page to page in our journey on the I, the yes energy, the aloha energy, as we move forward with aloha energy, try to think of this as revealing knowledge. And if it resonates with you, use it. If it doesn't resonate, it's okay. Maybe that knowledge is not ready for you now. Maybe it's not now. But I hope some of the things that I say and share and that we share will help people. The idea is not to fill your mind with all these thoughts, but rather that these thoughts help you create a positive action to do a positive thing with either yourself or the situation you may be in or the world around you. Okay? So I was talking to V today about the hidden knowledge that comes from our most basic, and this is our most basic food, poi. And poi comes from taro. And kalo, or taro, is the staple food for the Hawaiian diet. It used to be. And amongst those of us who are going back on the land and are working back in the taro patches, not in commercial ventures, but in small plot taro farming, which is the way of our people, by the way. Commercial taro planting, it was just almost like rice, taro, rice, corn, oats. Hawaiians didn't plant things like that. Taro was planted in much smaller plots and was done communally, family to family to family. And a plot fed family. A plot, I don't know, 20 by 20 would feed a family for a whole year. It fed it vegetables. It fed it this corn, which was taro, which could be mashed or pounded, as we say, into this thick paste-like food called poi. A lot of people don't like the taste of it because it tastes like poi. Poi has a certain taste. Some people, oh, it tastes like mud. Well, whatever. You know, I don't find sauerkraut easy to handle, right? But it was the basis for a diet. 90% of Hawaiians worked on taro patches. In the ancient day, it was the common thing. It was everywhere. Dry land or immersed in water. It's actually the plant of survival. We use it as story. You know, taro, we are all connected by the kalo. The kalo was the first ancestor. So it's the first ancestor. So in the kalo, we find the connection, the relationship. So the kalo is born of our, how do you say, our, people will say a myth, our story. The first kalo was the child of the child, and it brought us food. And from that kalo came more kalo, came more kalo. Basically, there are almost 100 varieties of kalo, different kalo. I have a friend here in Hilo who has 75 varieties in his backyard. And every one of them, he understands them and the purpose in which they were used. And they're given specific names. And it's just awesome. But I don't want to give you a plant workshop. I want to talk about relationships. Can we stop because my dogs are going crazy?
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it. I don't really know how to do this, but I'll try. So continuing with Paul Neves, we're talking about the kalo root, poi, and relationship.
Yeah, you know, boy, I remember, and this was just in the 60s, late 60s. I was with my mom, and I learned so much from her. You know, she came from a different time. She was born in 1913. So when she was born, the Queen was still alive. And she was 4 years old when Queen Liliuokalani passed. And, you know, she did not remember that. But her mother and father were, you know, 25, 30 years old. They knew her. They knew her. They had seen her. You know, it's that they got up in the morning and they'd be going there and they'd see the Queen. The Queen's going to church. The Queen's, you know, she was relegated to being not relegated. We called her Queen till the day she died. We still call her Queen. They took her title away, but we never did. But anyway, Mom comes from that age, and we were at a luau, you know, a luau in the top 60s. And boy, I didn't know it was going to be that much of an education. So I'm sitting there, and the poi now, it was in a cup, you know, like a cup so big. And so the poi was there. And so I just went to go taste it with my finger, you know. And she kind of like hit my fingers. don't be stingy. I said, what do you mean? Mom, I want to taste it. You know, says, no, you don't eat poi. One finger is stingy. It's for you, for me, right? And because it's an ancestor, you eat with your ancestor. You always use two hands, myself and my ancestor. So I am actually saying by eating with two fingers, I'm remembering that it was ancestrally passed on. Every year, when they plant taro again, they call it huli, to change, to turn it over again, to do it again, not to kill it, not to start afresh, just to change it, to go over it again, to revolve, to turn, yeah, not to turn away. And I said, oh, two fingers. Says, Ma, what would three be? Selfish, greedy. You're eating for you, your ancestor, and who else is that? A thief? Why would you want to take more than what your ancestor is requiring you to have? So, greed was so impolite amongst Hawaiian people. You didn't take more than you needed, even when you went into the forest to take flowers, or even when you fished. When you're finished, you're finished. You don't go out there and take fish for sport. You take fish because that's for food. I say, whoa, look at that marlin I got for 500 pounds. And who's going to eat it? Are you going to make sure that gets to people to eat? Because you don't just cut off its head and mount it on a wall. How absolutely insulting to the sea and to the fish. I have today when I was talking about this, because I knew I had got to think about it for tonight. Okay. So I knew I had to talk about it tonight. But I was talking to I had a visitor, an Apache elder, and a young lady that brought him to me, who was an Apache woman who lives here and in Hilo. And they're having a powwow here at the Puna Hawanji. The Buddhist church actually is making itself available for a native powwow. And they're going to attend it. But anyway, they were here. And I was sharing with the elder, when we breathe, when we aloha, right? Excuse me, when we put our noses to the nose of another person and we share the breath of life, right? He said, oh, excuse me.
Bless
He
you.
said, when they shoot an animal, if they shoot an elk, they run as fast as they can to get to the elk, to take its breath, to take its spirit, to ingest its spirit, so that elk still lives in honor of them. They try to get to that elk or buffalo or whatever is what they're hunting for food, because that spirit is precious. And I just saw that correlation when I was talking to him, and I started telling him about this poi thing I wanted to talk about, that it's a relationship. And so, sometimes now Hawaiian people will go to a luau and they'll have these little things of poi, and they'll give you a spoon. Put the spoon away, open up the cap, and use your finger. And remember that is connecting us all when we do that. We all do that. Mm-hmm. The spoon makes us away from the relationship. We no longer touch it. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of things that we're doing these days, we don't touch them. We delete them, we accept them, we call them friend, they're on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, but we're not touching. And so in that style of eating poi, is that, you're gonna share your story?
Yeah, just that
Yeah.
well, we came to talk about it because I was raised on the North Shore of Oahu, and late 60s, early 70s, and my mother was breastfeeding me for a little over a year, and she tells the story always of us going into a laundromat and these aunties grabbing me and saying, "Have you fed this poor little child anything?" And they had poi, and she always shared how they were feeding me with their hands, and that was my first food. And she was like, "Oh no, she hasn't eaten a solid food yet." And I was just chomping away, happy as can be. So that was my first solid food, so that's kind of special.
Yeah. And nowadays, doctors recommend poi for children because it is very good for their stomachs and it's digestible. It's very good for,
Can you
and
share what else is in there that makes it poi? It's pounded root, and what
it's
else is there?
it's just a carbohydrate vegetable, and that it is what it is. Nothing's added.
The starch. So when they make it
Or,
into that puree looking
yeah,
style, there's
yeah.
no salt added or
No,
anything?
you don't add salt. You don't add anything. And if, unfortunately, we put too much salt on our food, we don't need to put salt. In the Hawaiian style was that in the tradition, salt was put either on a banana leaf or a tea leaf, and you did that.
Mhm.
You didn't like roll it in salt. And sometimes I go to luau's and I can't. That pig has too much salt. Okay, but in the food are the relationships. So it's not just going back and planning. And I want to do a shout out to all the young people that are going back into the kalo, raising the kalo again in Waipio, but also right amongst us in the neighborhood. We have kalo in the back. The Lewis family, Makana Lewis, Crab's father. These are people I know. Keahi Tahone, who's up in Hakalau, towards Hakalau side. The Ui Chong. These people are living on it, living in it, and feeling its vibe. And, poi doesn't come from KTA supermarket. Poi comes from the ground that you're looking at, planted. There's 100 varieties. It's very resilient. And it has, at some point, somewhere in the past, the university wanted to patent it, and we refused to have it patented. Why? Because that's our ancestor. Thank you very much. You do not patent my ancestor.
Share a little more about that relationship to it being an actual ancestor.
Yeah. What did we say? What is our, in the eastern end of the of the home, the child passed, and what was, when they went to seek out the child, there they found a kalo, and that kalo, what we say is the spirit of that child, and from that kalo came the Hawaiian people. Yeah, and when you go throughout the Pacific, kalo holds a very special place amongst. We are the only ones, I think, that actually grind it, because in Samoa and Tonga and Fiji and places like that, they usually bake it like a potato. It's excellent baked. Add butter. It's delicious. Are we almost done?
Uh, One more minute to wrap it up.
1 more minute. Okay, in 1 more minute, I want to say um, to all of you that in your relationship, and I don't care what culture you are, wherever culture you are, what plant represents your relationship? What plant? Is it that big sequoia tree in California? Is that little poppy in the valleys of California? Is that ice plant on the side of a freeway? What plant connects you to the one you love or to the people you love? What plant? You know, and there's a special person that I have a flower for. You know, Hawaiians, we do that with flowers, but we also do that with plants. What plant? What flower?
Well, the palm
Mostly.
tree is definitely one for me.
There you go. There you
Wow, I
go.
love that question. Thank you so much for page 2, all around poi and the kalo. Thank you, Kumu.
Mahalo V. Love you. And love
Aloha.
everybody. Aloha. Have a great September.